My son called it the house of the future. Voice-controlled lights, self-learning thermostat, doors that locked with a wink at a camera. He said it would make my silver years shine. Instead, that house read my silence as defiance and plunged me into freezing darkness. If he thought a chill could tame a mother's spirit, he forgot how many winters I'd already survived. Good evening, sweethearts. Veronica Carter here, 69 years young, bones full of gospel and backbone. Where are y'all tuning in from tonight? Tell me your city down in the comments so I can picture every porch light glowing while this tale warms or chills your soul. I met my son's miracle house on a Sunday afternoon that smelled like fresh asphalt and broken promises. Maurice had insisted on driving me out to Brookstone Hills, a gated enclave 30 miles north of Atlanta, where the sidewalks curve like perfect cursive and nobody hangs laundry on a line. The place stood 3 stories tall, all black glass and cedar siding. A single copper plaque beside the door read Carter Residence, powered by Viventa Smart Living, TM. Maurice beamed, teeth white as choir robes. Happy retirement, Mama. No more drafty bungalow, no more creaky floorboards. I wanted to ask what was so wrong with the floorboards Henry had sanded, but a limousine smile can hypnotize faster than a serpent. Besides, I was still aching from moving day. He'd hired a company called Streamline Life to pack essentials. Half my essentials never made it into the truck. Inside the foyer glowed with recessed lighting that felt like dentist lamps. A chrome column near the stairs pulsed blue and greeted us in a woman's voice smoother than cough syrup. Welcome home, Mrs. Carter. Temperature set to 72 degrees Fahrenheit. Security protocol. Guardian mode. Guardian mode? I echoed. Maurice waved his phone. Just a safety feature. The app monitors everything. Air quality, energy usage, visitor logs. Visitor logs? Doorbell camera keeps track. He flipped a mahogany switch plate that wasn't a switch at all, just touchscreen glass. I'm only a tap away if you need, Mama. Something in his tone turned tap into leash, but the kitchen distracted me. Quartz countertops, induction stove that hummed like a tuning fork. He opened the fridge, lights cascaded on like stage spotlights. Groceries auto restock. You'll never lift a bag again. That part, I admit, felt heavenly. Arthritis hates Publix lines. Maurice gave a whirlwind tour, bedroom with mattress that adjusted to blood pressure, bathroom mirror analyzing skin hydration, living room blind sink to sunrise. Each marvel whittled away another piece of my independence. I clapped politely, though my pulse marched a different beat. The first sign of trouble came that night. I turned on the TV, wanted to watch late-night gospel, but a message blinked. Screen time limit reached. Please rest your eyes. I tried the lamp. It dimmed to barely there. Thermostat slid from 72 to 66, and the vent coughed cold air. Before bed, I phoned Maurice. He laughed. Mama, it's just the wellness algorithm encouraging better sleep hygiene. Wellness shouldn't bite, I muttered. His voice softened. Give it a week. House learns your patterns. It learned all right. Learned how to weaponize comfort. By Wednesday, the thermostat dipped whenever I phoned friends past 9. Lights flickered during my morning devotions if I prayed too loud. Friday evening, Pastor Polk stopped by unannounced with sweet potato pie. The front gate refused him entry, flashing, unscheduled visitor, access denied. I had to jog, hobble, down the driveway, punching codes on my son's app while the pie cooled to regret. Pastor lifted an eyebrow. Child, that gate got more attitude than Deacon Willis. Maurice blamed me. Mama, you didn't add guests to the trusted list. How do I add spontaneity to a trusted list? He sighed. I'll handle it remotely. Just call if someone plans to come. Plans. Life's richest moments rarely RSVP. The punishment escalated Sunday after church. Maurice video called, reminding me to take my joint pills. I joked that I'd skip them because my knees were praising the Lord fine today. He frowned. Call ended. Seconds later, house lights clicked off. Thermostat dropped to 60. Oven lock shut mid-roast. A notification pinged. Energy conservation mode activated for excessive usage. My bones ached. I wrapped myself in Grandma Lula's quilt and dialed Maurice. Straight to voicemail. The blue column in the foyer glowed red, voice syrupy yet stern. Please comply with recommended rest regimen to restore full utilities. I laughed, a hard, bark-like sound that startled even me. Child, you're a box of wires. You don't know rest from rebellion. The column dimmed. Heat did not return. I spent the night by the gas fireplace, which thankfully remained analog. Flames hissed like gossip while I plotted. At dawn, I drove my 15-year-old Buick back to my real home. Drafty bungalow still unsold. I fetched Henry's tool bag, Pastor Polk's spare ladder, and a dusty college textbook Maurice left years ago. Introduction to Network Security. If the house was smart, so was its builder, and I still remember dial-up modems, DOS commands, and how to slice through red tape with a church bake sale budget. By noon, I'd found the main control panel tucked behind the water heater, circuit board green, wires labeled like choir seating, a sticker read property of Eventa Smart Living, tampering voids warranty. I unscrewed it anyway. Warranty? Child motherhood never came with warranty, yet here I am, still functioning. I traced wires until I located the GSM cell module. Little plastic chip humming data straight to my son's phone. One snip and the house lost its tattletale voice. Lights blinked back to full. Heat purred like a cat finding its purr box. Freedom smelled like warm air on arthritic hands. But victory is sweeter when shared. I rang Pastor Polk, invited him to test the unshackled gate. He rolled up 10 minutes later, gospel choir blasting from his truck. Gate slid open as polite as Sunday ushers. We drank lemonade, laughing at technology tripped by scissors. Yet a thought nagged. Maurice would notice. Night would bring confrontation, or counterstrike. Snipping wires is whack-a-mole. The root problem grew deeper in my son's heart, not circuitry. Pastor tapped the gate keypad. Veronica, problems built on code need code to solve, but problems built on pride need the good book. And sometimes the courthouse. He pressed a final key sequence, then looked at me. Gate code now spells Psalm 27. The Lord is your light. No algorithm can dim that. I thanked him, but fear crept in anyway. What if Maurice cut off utilities from the power company? What if he activated some remote lockdown I couldn't hack? A mother's mind walks dark corridors at night, so I drafted a new plan, scribbled on the back of an old choir program. 1. Consult Dr. Mariah, my legal cousin. 2. Gather proof of remote abuse, screenshots, notifications. 3. Alert Elder Protective Services. 4. Invite church friends to stay overnight. Witnesses deter cowards. I didn't want war, but motherhood sometimes requires armor of righteousness. And if my son insisted on treating me like a voice command, he was about to hear something Alexa never learned. An old-school, foot-stomping, truth-telling sermon. You'll see what happens when a smart house gets reprogrammed by a smarter mama, and why Maurice will wish he'd never connected my thermostat to his conscience. Don't blink. Next chapter blows a fuse they can't replace. The freedom after cutting that GSM module lasted exactly 43 hours, long enough for me to wash linens, invite Sister Louise over for pound cake, and feel the warmth of unprogrammed air drift through every untouched corner of the house. But by Wednesday night, the living room TV snapped on by itself, screen white as judgment. Maurice's face appeared, eyes dark-circled and jaw clenched. "Mom, the security system flagged tampering. Why did you cut the cellular uplink?" I propped Grandma Lula's quilt tighter around my shoulders and leaned into the camera perched above the mantel. "Baby, a house that turns heat into punishment ain't security, it's slavery," he inhaled sharply. "You're exaggerating. The wellness algorithm—" "Shut off my stove while I was baking communion bread," I snapped. "Algorithms don't know the Holy Spirit from a toaster. Turn them off or take this house back." His lips thinned. "I'll come tomorrow. We'll talk." The screen blinked black, leaving me with a reflection of a woman no system could classify. Part fury, part heartbreak, all perseverance. I prepped for Maurice's arrival like a general for inspection. Dr. Mariah faxed me a notice of revocation for any remote control privileges. Pastor Polk printed 3 copies. Sister Louise dropped off sticky buns and moral support. I activated Psalm 27 on the gate code, but also loosened the breaker panel screws, just in case. Maurice arrived midday, Tesla humming like a hive. He stepped out wearing that consultant suit that always seemed one size too sharp for family matters. No handshake, no hug, just a tablet under his arm and an impatient sigh. We sat at the kitchen island. Quartz reflected fluorescent light that still felt foreign to me. He slid the tablet forward. Smart Living logs show unauthorized modifications. It voids service warranty and raises liability. I counter-slid the revocation notice. Your warranty was void once you weaponized comfort. Sign that paper, you surrender remote access. He scanned it, eyes flicking. Mama, you're being paranoid. Guardian mode is for your own good. Guardian for whom? It guarded your convenience, not my well-being. I stood, joints popping like castanets. You monitored my sleep visitors, even TV time. That's not love, that's incarceration. Maurice's shoulders drooped for half a heartbeat, then he straightened. Let's compromise. I'll disable heat and light controls, but keep cameras, safety only. No. I tapped the counter with Henry's old drum key, my new gavel. Either this house obeys me, or I pack quilts and go. Something in that sentence sliced whatever corporate veneer he wore. His voice cracked. Mom, I just wanted to keep you safe after Dad passed. Your bungalow had mold. You slipped last winter. Slipped, yes. Fell, never. I softened my tone. The problem isn't smart walls. The problem is trust dumbed down to settings. Silence thickened until the fridge's auto ice clattered, shattering tension. Maurice rubbed his eyes. Fine. Teach me how to be present without an app. We spent the afternoon side by side, screen sharing the Viventa console. I showed him thermostat schedules I preferred. 72 at dawn for arthritis, 68 at night. We deleted energy penalty scripts he'd enabled. Cameras? Turned inward to watch the stove and door sensors. Not me. Lights? Normal switches re-enabled. By dusk, the blue column pulsed gentle teal. Manual mode. Resident in control. Maurice grilled salmon on the patio while Pastor Polk blessed the table. We ate without screens, just cicadas and the faint hum of forgiven circuitry. But forgiveness, like firmware, needs periodic updates. At 10 p.m., Maurice's phone buzzed. Smart Living alert. New admin login attempt from unknown device. We hurried to the console. Someone, username Streamline Admin, tried restoring Guardian mode. Maurice frowned. I never made that account. I felt chill where heat should be. We disconnected Wi-Fi entirely. Consoles went dark. Manual mode flickered, but held. My son called Smart Living support. The technician stuttered when Maurice quoted the unauthorized username. Finally, sir, that's a provisioning account reserved for third-party caregivers. Caregivers? I hissed. Maurice's eyes widened. The Streamline Life Movers. They must have created backdoor access. Sell data. Maybe control houses for upcharge. My heart hammered. This isn't just me then. Other elders. We drafted an incident report, copied Dr. Mariah, and scheduled a meeting with Detective Alvarez of Elder Protective Services. I lay awake, quilt tight, house humming manual warmth. Maurice slept in the guest room, air mattress squeaking. In the dark, I whispered a prayer. Lord, make this house a beacon for truth, not a battery for fear. Morning brought Detective Alvarez, short, wide-shouldered, respectful. He photographed console logs, took Maurice's statement, and promised a deeper probe. We've had 2 other complaints, he admitted, but no proof. Your data might bust a ring. Maurice looked at me, tears pooling. I'm sorry, Mom. I let convenience overrule care. I squeezed his hand. Repentance is a reset button grace never locks. But grace also demands justice. Lunch hour found us at Smart Living headquarters, lobby cold and glassy. Legal counsel tried dismissing us, until Detective Alvarez served subpoenas. Screens flickered, suits scattered. Downstairs, a server engineer whispered, Streamline partners install hidden caregiver ports, corporate pretends ignorance. Evidence mounted. Friday, a judge ordered Smart Living to disable all third-party admin accounts pending investigation. That night, I lit every lamp in the house. Warm glow washing cedar walls. I opened windows, let honest summer air in, and played Henry's old trumpet mouthpiece like a whistle, humming hymns. Maurice joined me on the porch swing. No more remote control, he vowed. From now on, Mama, Guardian means me showing up, person to person. I smiled. Then we're both learning new code, 1 Corinthians 13. Corporate lawyers strike back. News cameras swarm, and a whistleblower emerges from inside Streamline Life. Stay tuned. This smart scandal is about to short-circuit nationwide. Tuesday cracked open beneath clouds the bruised color of unanswered prayers, and the smart house facade, gleaming glass, whispering vents, chrome smile appliances, sat as still as a patient trying to fake sleep. You'd never guess the circuits underneath were waging civil war. I'd managed 3 hours of rest, 2 upright in Henry's old recliner, 1 dozing over manila folders of tax returns I suspected Maurice planned to simplify into his own pockets. At 6:02 a.m., my phone rattled against the side table like a jar of hornets. Maurice's name pulsed. I counted 5 rings, let voicemail catch his exasperated sigh. Mom, why is the system offline? Guardian Matrix is flagging critical errors. Call me back before something breaks. Something already broke, child, I thought, and it wasn't the wiring. Yesterday I'd yanked the GSM module, tiny SIM card glittering like sin, leaving his remote dashboard blind. For the first time in months, the house could breathe without asking permission. I brewed chicory coffee the old-fashioned way, percolator hissing like gospel tambourine, then stepped onto the porch. Across the street, Mr. Lionel Breakerbox Booker shuffled to his mailbox. 45 years an electrician before arthritis parked him on disability. The man still smelled of copper and ozone. I waved him over. Breaker, I said once he'd settled on my swing, how hard is it to prove a smart grid's been tampered with from outside the premises? He tapped his jaw. Depends who's asking. Utility board, easy. County court, need logs and a witness. I led him inside, poured coffee, showed the nest of wires I'd labeled with masking tape flags, thermostat, auto lock, environmental control. Breaker whistled low. These ain't consumer grade. Your boy installed industrial relays. Looks like he could drop the temperature to 40 or spike it to 90 from his phone. He shook his head. Weaponized convenience. Weaponized, that word fit like a coffin lid. We spent the next 2 hours downloading event logs. Each entry read like a rap sheet. Temp var override, 2:14 a.m., 45 degrave, lights off, master, 03:07 a.m., gas shut off, 4:55 a.m., Breaker signed every printed page as expert witness. Judge'll care more if you show intent plus danger, he said, circling entries where the house kept the furnace off, while external temps dipped below freezing. By 9, Sister Louise arrived with pound cake and the righteous fury of a deaconess scorned. She photographed my chapped hands, evidence of cold exposure, then insisted on praying over the breaker box. When faith and forensics hold hands, even Satan checks the warranty. Maurice tried again at 10:30, his voice coming through the video doorbell I'd forgotten to disable. Mom, open up. We need to reset the firmware before you brick everything. I answered through the closed door. Firmware's fine. My comfort settings were never yours to police. He attempted a chuckle. I was protecting you. Seniors forget ovens. Yet I remember every time you shut the heat while I slept. He muttered something about ungrateful and stomped off. The doorbell camera caught him kicking my azalea pot, evidence, Exhibit B. I spent the afternoon with Dr. Mariah, fresh off the interstate and running on espresso. We filed an emergency protective order at Fulton County Probate Court, elder abuse via technological coercion. Georgia law hadn't seen that phrase before. Mariah likes making precedents. The clerk, Ms. Ramirez, raised an eyebrow but stamped the papers when she saw Breaker's logs and Sister Louise's photos of frost on my bedroom window. Judge Delaney will review by morning, she said. She said. If granted, the respondent must cease all remote interactions and surrender administrative credentials. Back home, I found Maurice's Tesla parked brazen across my driveway. Inside, he stood at the kitchen island, tablet in hand, tapping commands that no longer worked. Breaker's physical kill switch had severed cloud control. Maurice looked up, cheeks blotched red. Mom, you disabled safety protocols. You could die if the house can't alert me. I set the court packet between us. Starting tomorrow, the sheriff will alert you. Served at your office. He scanned the title, eyes widening. Protective order? Against me? Against any son who thinks thermostat tyranny is love. For a moment, his bravado flickered. I just wanted to ensure you followed routines. Routines or orders? I asked. He wavered, then whispered. I was scared after Dad passed. Grief, that sly accomplice. It can seduce good intentions into ugly armor. I softened. Just a fraction, but Mariah stepped forward. Maurice, fear doesn't excuse forged consents. I guess says to minutes, she said, sliding another document his way. A demand to relinquish the house deed he'd quietly transferred into a family LLC. His signature already shown where she'd traced it from digital filings, proof of fraud. He sank onto a bar stool. The smart fridge behind him chirped, door open, though nobody touched it. Maybe even appliances no guilt. I'll undo it, he murmured. Under supervision, Mariah corrected, and with restitution. Sunset draped the living room in peach light as Maurice left, legal papers hugged to his chest like an icy water bladder. Breaker flipped the main breaker back on, satisfaction glinting behind bifocals. Sister Louise boxed half the pound cake. Save strength for court, she said. The devil works overtime, but saints brew coffee. That night, warm air hummed from the vents by rightful command of the wall thermostat, mine alone to set. I stood on the front porch, quilt shawled over shoulders, and watched Maurice's taillights fade down Magnolia Avenue. Cicadas buzzed. Somewhere a neighbor laughed, life's analog soundtrack returning. Before bed, I opened the Guardian Matrix app, my credentials now sole admin min. I scrolled to user access and hovered over Maurice's profile. A single tap could delete him entirely, but I paused. The smart house, stripped of weaponry, might someday serve mercy, turning on porch lights when his remorse finally walks the path home. So I toggled him to read only. Let him watch warmth he didn't earn, and maybe learn how love operates. Steady, permissionless, and never behind a paywall. Tomorrow, Judge Delaney weighs digital chains against maternal freedom. But courtrooms aren't the only stage. Wait till you see what happens when the local news crew airs footage of my frozen nights, and a whistleblower from the smart home company shows up with code that could bankrupt Maurice's empire. Don't blink. The thermostat's not the only thing about to spike. Dawn crept across Magnolia Avenue, carrying the metallic scent of pending justice and the sweet hint of gardenias blooming defiantly beside the mailbox Maurice once kicked. Inside, my kettle whistled a victory note while cousin Dr. Mariah printed the last set of evidentiary binders. 8:10 a.m., Fulton County Probate Court Judge Delaney's bench stood beneath a seal proclaiming fidelity, fairness, fruitful age, the last word, recently added after a string of elder abuse cases. Breaker Booker, pressed into a borrowed jacket, presented his expert logs, highlighting each moment the heat dropped below 45 degrees. Sister Louise produced photos of ice lace on my bedroom window, followed by Mr. Chang from up the street, who testified he'd once seen Maurice adjust settings from his driveway, laughing about Mama's new diet plan, shiver off the pounds. Gasps rippled through the gallery. Judge Delaney's gavel landed like thunder on tin. Remote tampering with life-supporting utilities constitutes endangerment. Emergency order granted. Mr. Maurice Carter will surrender all administrative codes within 2 hours and is barred from smart device access pending full hearing. 2 bailiffs approached Maurice, collected his phone, tablet, even the slim smartwatch he claimed only tracked steps. Steps toward prison, one might say. 11:40 a.m. Magnolia Avenue live broadcast Channel 5's news van parked so close to my porch azaleas I feared for the blossoms. Reporter Donnell Hayes, lipstick red as stop signs, adjusted her mic. Viewers, earlier today a Fulton County judge ruled in favor of Ms. Veronica Carter, whose son allegedly weaponized a smart home system to control her well-being. We have exclusive footage. The screen behind her rolled in night vision clips from Breaker's security cams. Me wrapped in quilts, thermostat reading 42, Maurice's remote commands lighting green in a dashboard. Internet outrage ignited within minutes. Hashtag freezing mama, hashtag smart home horror, trend lines climbing like mercury in July. The backlash hit Maurice's tech consultancy firm before lunchtime. Anonymous employees leaked Slack screenshots showing him bragging about compliance trigger automations for elderly users. Investors jumped ship. His website crashed under comment storms. My grandson Malik texted, "Grandma, Dad's office is a madhouse. People chanting your name." I sent a heart emoji and typed, "Sunlight heals. Come visit after school." 2:10 p.m., surprise ally doorbell rang. An unfamiliar woman in company polo reading Synergy Home Solutions. "Ms. Carter, I'm Lillian Ortiz, senior firmware engineer on Guardian Matrix. I resigned this morning. Your story. It's not isolated. I brought proof of a compliance protocol baked into our devices, sold as an optional feature for caretakers. Most executives ignored ethical flags. Her USB drive, stuffed with source code and internal memos, settled into Mariah's grateful hands like manna, 5:30 p.m. Emergency town hall breaker, organized electricians, Sister Louise rallied pastors, Lillian shared technical layman slides. Magnolia Avenue Community Hall filled beyond capacity. Seniors clutching tablets, grandchildren recording TikToks titled, "Teach Nana to Jailbreak the Thermostat." I took the stage last, trumpet mouthpiece in pocket like a talisman. They tried to freeze me into obedience, I said, voice steadier than stained glass sunlight. But fire lives in us, not in their apps. Knowledge on chains. Tonight we sign a petition demanding statewide regulation on caretaker controls. We build a hotline for smart tech abuse, and we remember love has no off switch. Applause rolled like holy thunder. 9:45 p.m. Maurice's reckoning. Back home. Lights warm and steady, we reviewed the flood of emails. Class action lawyers, elder rights activists, a talk show producer. But the one that stilled the room came from Maurice. Mom, Judge took everything. Investors gone. I'm ashamed. I see what fear and greed built inside me. I don't ask forgiveness tonight, only to help dismantle what I enabled. Please let me prove I can be more than this code. Mariah suggested caution. Breaker folded his arms. I felt the house inhale, a soft whoosh of vents no longer hostile. Healing demands participation, I said, drafting my reply. You'll start by training with Lillian pro bono, rewriting Guardian Matrix for transparency. And until then, son, this house keeps you red only. I pressed send, then opened the admin panel. Under user permissions, I created a new role, redemption mode, access, limited, visibility, complete, accountability, logged forever. Outside, the streetlights glowed gentle amber. Gardenia scent drifted. The blossoms survived the news van after all. I whispered to him as I shut the door, feeling warmth radiate not just from ducks, but from something freer. Control returned to rightful hands, and power tempered by grace. State legislators invite me to testify on a new smart care bill. Maurice confronts whistleblower code that could land him behind bars, and the House itself delivers one last secret I never saw coming. Stay tuned. The thermostat of justice is still rising. Wednesday bloomed hot and bright, cicadas tuning their tiny saws as if revving a soundtrack. For the day, justice would march beyond county lines. By sunrise, my kitchen looked like Central Command again. Cousin Dr. Mariah in a crisp blazer, the color of fresh asphalt, Lillian Ortiz hunched over my laptop compiling sanitized firmware, and Breaker Booker sketching wiring diagrams on butcher paper so older residents could visualize what fail-safe relays meant. I brewed chicory coffee for the battalion, pausing to savor a silence no algorithm could mute. The house's speakers, the ones Maurice once hijacked to bark reminders, now chimed only when I asked. Alexa, I said just to test, what's the outside temperature? She answered smooth as pudding. Control felt like breath, essential, unnoticed, until stolen. 8:30 a.m., State Capitol invitation. Mariah's phone pinged. She read, Georgia Senate Committee on Aging requests Ms. Veronica Carter's testimony tomorrow regarding proposed Smart Care Transparency Act. The room erupted in whoops. Gardening gloves off, we were planning policy now. Lillian printed talking points, statistics on elder tech abuse, cost analyses showing heat-related hospitalizations. Breaker fetched Sister Louise, who arrived with a flash drive of choir seniors recounting their own smart device scares. Fridges locking medication, fall detectors dialing adult children before EMS. Their faces, grainy but resolute, would play on a projector bigger than any pulpit. 10:15 a.m. and Maurice arrives. A knock. Through the peephole, I saw Maurice, no suit, no swagger, just a man whose world had collapsed into backpacks and apologies. I opened the door a crack. Mom, I'm here for redemption mode orientation, he said, voice raspy. Lillian nodded permission. Mariah's brows, however, rose like drawbridges. We sat him at the dining table. Mariah slid non-disclosure agreements before him. Sign. You'll assist code audit under supervision. Any breach, we involve the DA. Maurice signed, without reading, hands trembling. Then he turned to me. I disabled Guardian Matrix on all elder accounts I controlled. I sent clients full refunds. Tears glimmered, but I'd learned tears sometimes smuggle manipulation. Still, a sliver of grace parted the crust around my heart. Good first nail, I said. Now we frame the house. Lillian pulled up the firmware repository on my laptop, lines of code scrolled like a confession. She pointed to a function labeled compliance threshold. He wrote that, she whispered. Maurice flinched. It reduces thermostat floor temp by 10 degrees for each ignored caretaker command, Mariah clucked. An algorithm of coercion, Maurice spoke, barely audible. I called it tough love. Now it just looks tough. Breaker slapped a schematic on the table. We install mechanical overrides today. Old school bimetal thermostats in parallel. If digital fails, heat stays. He handed Maurice a screwdriver. Show penance with sweat. Noon, the secret microloan. While we worked, Malik, my grandson, burst in holding bank printouts. Grandma, Dad's consultancy took a microloan using your house as collateral 3 months ago. Maurice's head snapped up. I never signed that. Mariah seized the papers, eyes narrowing. Different forgery, different notary seal. Silver Oaks may have facilitated. She dialed the county recorder, demanding a deed search. The house shivered. Not from code, but from the knowledge someone had mortgaged its bones. I laid a gentling hand on the wall. Easy, girl. We'll unchain you. 2:45 p.m., hardware intervention. Breaker drilled pilot holes, installing brass-dial thermostats Henry would have admired. Maurice ran wiring. Lillian flashed new firmware signed with cryptographic keys tied to my fingerprint. Ownership etched in silicon. During a water break, Maurice faced me. Mom, I thought control was safety, but safety without consent is prison. He dug out his phone, now restricted. I want you to set the password. I typed Galatians 5:1, freedom code. He didn't ask which verse. Maybe he'd read it tonight. 4:30 p.m., News Alert Channel 5 tweeted, Whistleblower code reveals Guardian Matrix shipped with secret compliance feature. Attorney General opens investigation. Comments exploded. Stock for Synergy Home Solutions plummeted 8% in an hour. Lillian exhaled. One stone, many giants. But Mariah wasn't smiling. She'd received the deed search. The microloan has a balloon clause. If we don't prove forgery in 10 days, foreclosure proceedings start. Silence. Gardenia scent wafted through open windows, a fragile hope among legal thorns. I straightened. Then tonight we chase the notary. Breaker, gas up your truck. Maurice, you ride shotgun. You created this shadow. Now you'll drive us into it. He nodded, shame-stitched with resolve. 6:00 p.m. Road to Forsyth County. Sunset, the sky ablaze. Breaker's pickup rattled north on I-75. Thermoses of sweet tea sloshing between toolboxes. Mariah scrolled property databases. Lillian triangulated the notary's last PayPal ping. Each mile felt like threading a needle through asphalt, sewing truth to paper. Morris stared out the window. I remember when you taught me to rewire the porch light, Mom. You said electricity obeys respect, not fear. I kept eyes on the horizon. And you forgot lesson 2. Misuse it, and it bites. He swallowed. I'm ready for scars. 7:15 p.m. The cabin GPS led us to a run-down cabin by Lake Lanier. Windows glowed blue. Computer screens. We heard generator hum. Breaker hefted a flashlight. Mariah, her briefcase. Lillian, a USB duplicator. I gripped Henry's trumpet mouthpiece. Courage needs familiar weight. We knocked. Door creaked open, revealing a gaunt man in cargo shorts. Notary Bradley Finn, nameplate still clipped to his belt. Mariah wasted no breath. Forgery, felony, potential RICO. You can cooperate or contemplate orange jumpsuits. Finn's shoulders sagged. I just stamped what Silver Oaks couriered, paid cash to look away. He beckoned us inside, motioned toward banker boxes of documents. Mariah produced a portable scanner. Lillian imaged hard drives. Breaker photographed ledgers. Maurice cataloged serial numbers, grimacing at each page bearing my falsified signature. When scanning finished, Finn signed an affidavit, ink trembling. Mariah notarized it herself. Oh, the irony. 9:30 p.m., return drive moonlight ribboned the interstate. Evidence sat locked in Pelican cases, mission accomplished but adrenaline still buzzing. I exhaled a prayer of thanks. Maurice broke the quiet. Mom, after tomorrow's testimony when cameras fade, can I come home? Not as administrator, just as son. I let silence weigh the question, then answered. Home isn't a location, it's trust. Earn that, and any roof will shelter us both. He nodded, tears finally free. We deliver the evidence to the Senate committee. Silver Oaks unleashes its lawyers, and a power outage tests whether our new safeguards hold, or if the smart house still has one last trick coded deep in its circuits. Justice's voltage is climbing. Don't miss the surge. Night draped itself over Lake Lanier like a velvet curtain, muffling the chorus of crickets, while Breaker Booker's dented pickup thundered back toward Atlanta. In the truck bed, bankers' boxes rattled at every pothole, affidavits signed by frightened technicians, USB clones of Guardian Matrix firmware, notarized statements from 2 former Silver Oaks nurses who had witnessed the forced smart home trials. The cargo looked unremarkable beneath a tarp, yet inside those cardboard tombs slept enough evidence to bury a corporate empire. Maurice rode shotgun, silent, knuckles wrapped white around a thermos of now cold sweet tea. His once immaculate hoodie bore grease stains from dismantling server racks. Humility, it seemed, leaked faster than motor oil. I sat in the back with cousin Dr. Mariah and Lillian Ortiz. Mariah's laptop glowed soft cerulean, mapping encrypted log files to legal citations. Lillian typed commands that would, at sunrise, push a firmware kill switch to every Guardian Matrix hub in the tri-state area, an electronic liberation proclamation. ETA 30 minutes, Breaker called, voice rumbling above the engine. A cooler air swept off the lake, and the scent of pine faded into exhaust and anticipation. Mariah closed her laptop, the click loud in the cramped cab. Maurice, she said, gentle but firm, the district attorney will want a voluntary confession on record at 7 a.m., walk in willingly, and the plea deal stays lenient. Hesitate, and your algorithm becomes premeditated assault. Maurice swallowed, Adam's apple bobbing. I'll testify, he whispered. When Mom's thermostat plunged to 50 degrees, Guardian Matrix flagged it as behavioral correction. I saw the audit logs, but thought, it's temporary. She'd warm up once she complied. His voice cracked. Compliance is a dirty word when you're the one shivering in the dark. Remember that when the cameras roll? I muttered, pulse steady as a church drum. I glanced out the window. Billboards for payday loans flickered under sodium lights, their slogans promising instant relief at compound interest pain. The city sprawled ahead like a neon confession. Breaker took an exit just past Peachtree Industrial, weaving toward Mariah's makeshift evidence bunker, an abandoned print shop she had rented under an LLC named Phoenix Archival. Inside, flood lamps hummed, illuminating folding tables covered with binder clips, label makers, and 4 steel safes. The air smelled of toner and destiny. We unloaded in silence. Every box set on a table felt like placing one brick into a wall that would shield thousands of seniors from algorithmic abuse. Once the last binder clicked shut, Mariah locked it in safe 3, spun the dial, and exhaled. Phase 1 completed, she said. Phase 2, public narrative, starts now. She handed me a stack of press packets. Atop each lay a glossy still of me wrapped in a quilt, standing defiantly before my darkened smart house. Beneath, Veronica Carter versus Guardian Matrix, the human cost of carrying technology. I traced the photo's edge, breath hitching. I'd never imagined my face beneath a headline. Fame was a stranger I neither courted nor feared. But if celebrity could become a battering ram for justice, let the flashbulbs blind. Maurice shifted his weight. Mom, he said, voice small, the board may contact you tomorrow. They'll offer hush money. You already tried to buy my silence once, I answered. The price went up. Now it's truth or nothing. Breaker clapped Maurice on the shoulder with oil-grimed hands. Cheer up. Confession is cathartic. Try imagining prison showers if you need inspiration. Lillian stifled a laugh, breaking tension like light through stained glass. She produced a flash drive shaped like a miniature trumpet. For symbolism, she said, pressing it into my palm, inside is the complete Guardian kill code. At 5 a.m., flood it to every local station in our online whistleblower portal. Consider this the final trumpet call. Outside, distant thunder rolled, summer storm threading power lines with silver. Breaker flicked the bay door shut, padlocked it twice, and pocketed the key. Everyone get rest, Mariah ordered. Court starts at 9. We meet at Fulton Superior, room 5B. Wear colors that say dignity, not pity. Maurice ventured a fragile smile. I'll wear Dad's navy blazer, I nodded. Let it remind you authority should shelter, not suffocate. Back at Magnolia Avenue, the smart house loomed silent. Breaker's truck idled, while Lillian scanned for residual signals. Entire system offline, she confirmed. Your home is dumb as warm bread. Good, I said. Bread feeds people, it doesn't surveil them. I entered to the soft creak of honest wood underfoot. Kitchen counters gleamed. Breaker had rewired them to operate like the 90 days, knobs and switches mechanical, tangible. Maurice followed, gaze lingering on framed photos he once boxed away. Mom, why keep them visible after what I did? Because forgiveness needs reminders, I replied, or it ferments into bitterness. He nodded, tears swelling. I squeezed his hand. We each carried scars, mine from enforced cold, his from ego's frostbite. Neither wound would heal overnight, but dawn was already seeping into the edges of the blinds. At 2 a.m., I brewed chicory coffee, laptop open to the whistleblower portal. I slid Lillian's trumpet drive into the USB slot, a progress bar crawled across the screen. Uploading justice, 1%. Outside, rain began to beat a steady rhythm on the roof, nature's drumline for a coming parade. When the bar reached 100%, a confirmation ping echoed through the kitchen. Somewhere, 100 cold voices would soon feel warmth return, thermostats blinking free, and in a few hours, the city would learn that smart technology can't outsmart a mother with a trumpet and a legal team. I closed the laptop, wrapped Henry's quilt around my shoulders, and stood at the window. Lightning-illuminated clouds shaped like doorways, hinting at new rooms to walk through. Tomorrow, we'd push them open with gavel, code, and gospel choir. My breathing steadied. The house, not the circuits, but the bones, felt alive again. I whispered into the storm, let justice roll down like waters, and in the distance, thunder answered amen. Dawn marched into Atlanta like a brass band in hurricane season, cymbals clashing against slate-gray clouds that still smelled of last night's summer storm. By 6 a.m., the whistleblower upload we'd scheduled, Guardian Matrix's incriminating firmware and user logs, lit up feeds from Reddit to CNN. Stock tickers for Synergy Home Solutions froze mid-plummet. Trading halted at $8 a share, reporters dubbing the crash the thermostat tumble. I watched from my kitchen, hands wrapped around a mug of chicory coffee. Each headline felt like a gust of fresh air rushing through vents once used to chill me into silence. Maurice sat across the table, eyes red-rimmed yet clear, scrolling news feeds that damned his past self. Breaker Booker leaned against the fridge, arms crossed, grinning every time a new hashtag trended. #FreezerGate, #Mama Control, #Guardian Matrix Fail. Cousin Dr. Mariah burst through the back door in heels that clacked like gavels. Veronica, our Senate testimony just got moved up. Special session at 11. They want live coverage. She tossed a navy blazer toward me. Wear power blue. Camera lights love it. Lillian Ortiz was right behind her, laptop under one arm, portable router under the other. Source code diff complete, she announced. The compliance threshold function is hidden behind 4 layers of obfuscation. I've packaged a simple animation for legislators, shows how ignoring a caretaker command ratchets down the thermostat and shuts off lights. She thumb drove the file into Mariah's briefcase. Breaker's phone buzzed. He checked the caller ID, then slapped the fridge. Utility commission's on board, he said. Emergency hearing tomorrow on outlawing remote heat cutoffs for any residents registered to a senior. Maurice exhaled a shaky breath. Every ping is another nail in my coffin, he muttered. I reached across the table, squeezed his hand. Coffins can become planners if you add enough soil and repentance. He gave a watery chuckle. I'll remember that when the DA evaluates my plea deal. 7:15 a.m. Unexpected visitor. Doorbell chimed. The camera feed showed a woman in a charcoal suit flanked by 2 men in FBI windbreakers. I opened the door. Cool morning air swept through the foyer. Mrs. Veronica Carter? The woman asked, flipping a badge. Special Agent Tasha Gray, Department of Justice, Cyber-Exploitation Task Force. We'd like a moment. Mariah stepped forward. We're due at the state capitol in 3 hours. Make it concise or make an appointment. Agent Gray nodded, professional and unruffled. Concise, we're opening a federal investigation into Synergy's interstate data manipulation. We need copies of the full firmware archive and your sworn statement. You are not a suspect. You are the catalyst. Breaker whistled. Catalyst? Sounds like you just graduated from chemical warfare, Veronica. I gestured them in. served coffee in mismatched church social mugs. Within 30 minutes, a government issue scanner hummed on my dining table while Agent Gray read my notarized affidavit. Maurice volunteered to sign his own statement. Tears dotted the paper, but he didn't flinch. 9:05 a.m., Capitol call. Mariah's phone rang. Senator Harper's office. Be in committee room 2C by 10:30, she relayed. Opposition lobbyists are arriving. They'll try to delay vote. Lillian snapped her laptop shut. Not if they watch a thermostat plunge on a loop. 10:05 a.m., ride downtown. We crammed into Breaker's pickup, now affectionately dubbed the Circuit Breaker, with Agent Gray's sedan trailing. Traffic on I-85 flowed like molasses, but WSB-TV's chopper hovered overhead, filming our convoy. Maurice tugged at his father's navy blazer, now his planter jacket, he joked, like it itched with consequence. First rule of testimony, Mariah coached. Speak in threes. What happened, why it matters, what has to change. She handed me a flashcard. On it, scribbled bullet points. Cold nights. Algorithm of control. Right to warmth. Downtown skyline rose jagged against shy sunbeams. Banners on light poles read Georgia. The warmest welcome, irony thick as July humidity. 10:32 a.m., State Capitol, Room 2C, the committee chamber buzzed. Senators in gray suits, reporters like hummingbirds at every bloom of controversy, lobbyists clutching polished talking points. One table bore Synergy's logo. Their counsel, Ms. Pennington, eyed us through tortoiseshell glasses sharp as scalpel blades. Senator Harper rapped his gavel. Next witness, Mrs. Veronica Carter. I stood, quilt draped over my arm, a visual aid more potent than PowerPoint. Cameras clicked. I laid the quilt on the witness table, fingers brushing familiar stitches. Then I spoke. I once believed technology was just another quilt, layers meant to warm, but quilts comfort, they don't command. Last winter, this house you all see on the screens behind me learned to punish silence. Dropped my home to 42 degrees if I didn't obey a pop-up on my phone. Gasps fluttered like sparrows in rafters. Pennington leaned toward her mic. Objection. Technical malfunctions cannot be conflated with intent. Lillian tapped her remote. On the big screen, code highlighted in red scrolled, if, compliance score threshold, temperature -10, lights off, a footnote, caretaker override equals true. Malfunction? Lillian said. This is a feature. Senator Harper gestured. Objection overruled. Continue. I told them about ice crusting my bedroom window, the gate that barred my pastor, the night I snipped the GSM wire. Finally, I lifted Henry's trumpet mouthpiece. My husband survived Vietnam, 2 recessions, and lung cancer. He taught me that breath pushed through brass becomes power. I stand here pushing breath through truth. Regulate these devices before another mother learns that comfort can be coded into compliance, committee members whispered. Senator Jenkins, usually stone-faced, dabbed his eyes. Pennington tried a last gambit. Mrs. Carter, were you not offered relocation to safer housing? I smiled. Safer for whom? Control is security only to the one holding the remote. 11:47 a.m. Vote motions flew. 5-2, the committee advanced the Smart Care Transparency Act to the Senate floor. Mandatory physical overrides, caretaker audit logs, felony penalties for coercive temperature control. Reporters swarmed. Maurice delivered a trembling statement of remorse. Breaker raised my hand like a boxing champion. Camera flashes strobed, but a notification ping sliced through the applause. Power grid alert. Unauthorized device attempting remote access to Carter residence. Synergy's counsel grinned like a fox. Seems your house still fights. I met Mariah's gaze. It's round 2, y'all. Maurice pulled out his laptop. Lillian connected to a hotspot. Breaker cursed softly. Agent Gray radioed her team, and I clutched Henry's mouthpiece, whispering, Lord, if we need another trumpet blast, lend me the lungs. Synergy unleashes a last-ditch cyber attack to prove seniors need remote management, plunging half the city into rolling blackouts. Watch how a grandmother, a gospel choir, and a rogue electrician turn the lights back on, and why Maurice's ultimate redemption arrives in the shape of a physical switch. Don't miss the finale. Justice is about to glow brighter than any smart bulb. Sirens keened down to Peachtree before we even cleared the Capitol steps. Digital billboards flickered, then went dead. Traffic lights surrendered to blinking red chaos. Across town, refrigerated trucks hummed into failure, and apartment towers blinked off like giant dominoes toppling the night. Synergy Home Solutions had chosen scorched circuit warfare, crash the grid, blame the seniors who couldn't manage their own thermostats, and spin the outage as proof that centralized control kept everyone safe. Rolling blackouts in 5 districts. Agent Gray barked into her radio. Source spoofed through Carter residence. Synergy wants a fall gal. Her sedan fishtailed as Breaker's pickup led our convoy toward Magnolia Avenue, siren-lit puddles splashing the windows. Rain returned in sheets, shrouding the city in metallic mist. 11:59 a.m., Magnolia Avenue. When we skidded to the curb, my bungalow glowed ghost green, backup batteries keeping Guardian Matrix alive like a wounded beast. The moment Breaker killed the ignition, every smart bulb in the house pulsed a baleful red. Maurice sprinted to the porch, laptop open. Synergy tunneled in through the disabled GSM chip. Piggybacking on a dormant LTE SIM, they're routing commands to every Guardian unit statewide using our house's master node. Breaker hefted his tool bag. I'll cut mains and battery, hard stop the signal. He dashed around back. Inside cold punched us square in the lungs, the HVAC set to 35 degrees. Frozen breath clouded flashlights as Lillian booted her laptop on the kitchen counter. Finding live ports, got 'em. If I inject a firmware kill switch, every Guardian unit will reboot to factory safe mode. Mariah scanned the flickering hall lights. Legal audit later. Stop the freeze now. Sue them after. Agent Gray stationed 2 FBI techs at the dining table, cables snaking into my router like IV lines. Maurice hunched beside Lillian, typing furiously. I tugged my wool shawl tighter and whispered a prayer. 12:12 p.m. The choir arrives. Headlights swept the driveway. First Baptist gospel voices flooded in. Sister Louise, Deacon Polk, half the alto section, armed with battery lanterns and extension cords. News said seniors are locked in freezing homes, Louise panted. We brought generators and hot stew. Where you need us. Neighbors, I ordered. Check every porch. If their lights are red, plug them in. Choir members fanned out into the storm, lanterns bobbing like fireflies of resistance. 12:25 p.m. Breaker's discovery. Breaker burst through the mudroom door, soaked. Main breakers fused. Remote relay welded shut. But I found a physical bypass inside the Guardian hub. Need Maurice's biometric code to trigger manual override. Maurice swallowed. No retina scanner, no fingerprint. They use voice ID keyed to authorized caretaker. He looked at me, guilt swirling in his eyes. Mom, it's my voice. System only listens to me. Agent Gray handed him a portable mic. It's redemption time, son. Maurice stepped to the basement stairwell where the Guardian hub pulsed red. He took a breath that sounded like a broken apology. Command override. Morris Carter. Authorization code Delta 7 Grace 21. Execute manual shutoff. The red light blinked amber, then blue, then dark. House fans groaned to a stop, and silence fell so sudden it felt holy. Breaker shouted from below. Bypass engaged. Grid load dropping. 12:37 p.m. Citywide reboot. Lillian hit enter on her firmware patch. Street by street, neighborhoods flickered back to life. Street lamps flared. Store signs glowed. Apartments warmed. Twitter exploded. Hashtag lights on. Mama wins. A WSB TV chopper hovered overhead, spotlight bathing the bungalow. I stepped onto the porch with Henry's trumpet mouthpiece raised high. Reporters aimed cameras, my voice carried over rain. Cold may silence voices, but choir hearts sing louder. Synergy tried to prove seniors needed control. Today we proved community is the only control panel worth touching. Cheer erupted from neighbors huddled in quilts, generator cables snaking like lifelines. Choir members launched into an impromptu hymn, This Little Light of Mine. House lights across Magnolia flicked rhythmically, each home joining the song. 1:05 p.m., federal seizure. Agent Gray's radio crackled. DOJ warrant executed at Synergy HQ, all servers seized. She clicked it off, relief easing her shoulders. Maurice emerged from the basement, face streaked with dust and tears. Mom, I broke it, then fixed it. Does it balance? I cupped his cheek. Balance is for accountants. Forgiveness is for families. Keep doing the work. Let your repentance accrue interest. He nodded, crushing me in a hug that thawed more than the house. Later that evening, Front Porch Press Conference Senator Harper arrived with cameras in tow. He announced bipartisan sponsorship of the Right to Warmth Act, mandatory physical overrides in any smart HVAC, criminal penalties for coercive control, and funding for community tech literacy programs run by, in his words, the undefeated Veronica Carter. Maurice stepped forward, reading a public apology. Breaker Booker was sworn in as head of the new state advisory board on senior home technology. Lillian Ortiz accepted a cybersecurity grant to build open-source firmware. Choir ladies served gumbo to reporters. When lights finally dimmed, the house felt different. Still smart, but wiser. Breaker installed an old-fashioned brass switch in the hallway, wired directly to furnace and lights. He handed me the plate cover screwdriver. "Final turn is yours, Ms. Carter." The screw clicked home. I flipped the switch. Warm air whooshed through vents without any algorithm muttering about compliance. Triumph tasted like chicory and freedom. Epilogue, 3 months later. Synergy executives pled guilty to cyber-exploitation. Maurice completed court-ordered community service, teaching coding to seniors at the church hall. Every lesson opening with my story. Our once menacing bungalow now hosts weekly tech and tea sessions. First rule taped to the door, people over programs. On quiet evenings, I sit on the porch swing, trumpet mouthpiece cool in my palm, listening to Magnolia Avenue hum, AC units, laughter, gospel refrains. The smart bulbs glow soft amber, set by me on my schedule. Because true intelligence isn't how many devices we command, it's knowing that love, like warmth, must never be used as leverage. The end.